All right. So, for those of you that don't follow the channel, my name is Will Roosh. I'm a high school teacher, and I have taught for 17 years in the classroom, and I've taught many years of advisory. So, what I try to do is apply like very practical lessons and tips and things like that for my classes, which are typically 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I've taught 12th more than anything else. So this is from my advisory curriculum, and it's about relationships, specifically relationships for teenagers who are really struggling with how to find um, meaningful relationships, good relationships, romantic relationships, girlfriends, boyfriends, and things like that. So this is complicated. This is from a TV show, Seinfeld. Uh, like I am not an expert. I have a wife that is very open with her communication and things like that. So I've learned a lot, but this is very, very complicated. I am no expert, but I think that what I have here can help guide young people a little bit. So I thought this was really good. This idea of if you want to find someone that's really great, then you have to be really great. That you have to hold yourself to the kind of standard that the kind of person you would be looking for would hold themselves up to. So I think that's a really important thing. If you're like, oh man, I'm really trying to find an awesome girl, or I'm trying to find an awesome guy. It's like, well, you have to be that, or you have to at least be working in that direction. I think that's really important for everyone to know. Okay, so very basic, right into it. For young men, so we're talking about mostly like teenagers and stuff like that. I think this could apply throughout many different age ranges, but I think specifically for teenagers. How do you get girls to like you? This is valuable, right? A couple of things. One is, now these are generalizations, so I don't think you can say that this applies to every girl in every situation, but these are generalizations that I think are a good map to kind of start, a good guide for you. One is that girls want to feel special and unique. They don't want to feel like everyone else. They want to be something different. They want to be something special. So in order to do that, take notice of and share the small details. Notice the small things, a barrette in her hair, or something like that, something very small that highlights her uniqueness. I think that's a good place to go when you want to give compliments. You don't want to give a compliment that could be kind of ubiquitously applied. You don't want to give her a compliment that you could kind of say to anybody. You're pretty, or you're smart, or you're funny. Something very specific. Take notice of those things. That really helps. Show interest, but not just show interest, be interested in her life. If this is someone that you want to be with, you want to date her or something like that, you should be interested in her life, her stories. Ask her a lot of questions. So I put an example in here of a green beret, not green beret, but green beret. Like, oh, you had that beret in your hair, 2 weeks ago, and I thought it looked really good on you. Like noticing that kind of little stuff. I mean, if this is someone you want to be with, then show a lot of interest in trying to get to know them better in a very sincere way. This isn't something to fake. Make the girl you like feel beautiful in her own way and show her that she is unlike any other girl in the best of ways. So it's really important that you highlight what makes her different from all the other girls, especially in high school where there's a lot of mean girl stuff. There's a lot of conforming, pressure to conform on young women, that if you give attention to the girl that you have your eye on in a very sincere way, and a way that makes her seem unique to her, I think that helps a lot. Why don't girls want to date the guy who asked out five of her friends? I mean, so the way I explain this is like, let's say a girl likes you, okay? But you've asked out 2 or 3 of her friends who didn't like you, and they were like, no, no, no. Then you go to the girl that actually does like you and you ask her out. She's not gonna go for it, because no girl wants to feel like the bronze medal. No girl wants to feel like the leftovers. If your goal is to make a young woman feel unique and special, then asking out a bunch of other girls prior to her, that's not going to align with that. So be very careful, because reputations get around, in high school and stuff like that. And girls know if you've asked out a bunch of other girls and got rejected, that's not, even if a girl liked you, that's going to make her less interested in you. No girl wants to be a 6th in line, right? Why do girls like bad boys? So a lot of young men go, oh, girls like bad boys, so I better start acting like an a-hole. Well, I don't advise that. I think what it is a couple of things. One is bad boys aren't boring. I mean, it's exciting, it's thrilling. And part of the thing that gets people turned on in sexual ways and things that are attractive is that thrill. You know, it's like get your heart racing. So there is an element of that with bad boys, the ones who break the rules a little bit, get them into trouble, things like that, especially in your rebellious teenage years. The thrill is attractive. But also, it's not just that girls want bad boys. They want to change the bad boy. So a young girl doesn't want a guy who cheats on all of his past girlfriends and then is going to cheat on her. She wants the guy who's cheated on every girlfriend and then not on her. That kind of like Beauty and the Beast thing. It's actually like every romance novel. It's like 50 Shades of Grey. It's all of those. It's Sex Life, or it's all these different shows. It's all like the romance novels. It's this guy who is untamable, who gets tamed and becomes a one-woman man because of this girl. Because again, going back to the beginning, is if you, to the young woman, if you can get this guy to change his dog ways, then you must be unique and special. So it's not that women want the bad boy. They want a bad boy that they can reform. And that's important to know, okay? Because that makes her feel special. Now, there's a way to hack that for the young men. It's not that to be a jerk. It's that give her what she wants to feel, which is the type of young woman who can change a man for the better. So if you communicate that she is helping to change you for the better, that is the same kind of response, neurological response in the young women who are typically chasing bad boys. Now, the other way, advice for girls on getting guys to like you. So young ladies, how do you get the guy who you really like to ask you out, or how do you get him interested? One is be nice and pleasant. Now that sounds really simplistic. It could be taken wrong, just like, oh, you should just be demure and just, take whatever's handed to you. That's not what I'm saying. Is being nice, being kind. My wife, when people ask like what attracted me to her when we first started dating, now we were older, we were like 28, 27, but she was just so nice. She was so pleasant. She always had a smile on her face. And even when times were tough, she was like positive and optimistic. I think that you can be this way, be honest, be straightforward, but being kind. If you're kind to someone and they take it as you being like attracted to them and you're not, that's their issue. It's not you. So just young ladies, I think that just being a pleasant, kind person goes a long way, especially with young men. Young men, as much as they don't admit it, I've spent a lot of time around teenagers, 17 years in the classroom. And young men are just so fragile in their egos and things like that. So being kind goes a long way for them. Guys want to feel capable. Older men, young men, they want to feel capable. They want to feel like they can handle things. So you help them to do that. Wow, you really fixed this kind of thing. Guys want to be respected. When a woman doesn't respect her man, it's a pathway to disaster. So it's important that to recognize that guys want to be respected. So show them respect. Help them to feel capable, that they can handle a whole bunch of different things. That's really attractive for men, makes men feel good. Make him feel like the man. Young men are so insecure. So if you can help them to feel secure and feel like a man, this is, we're talking about teenagers who are figuring out what a man even is. So they're not a child anymore. They're not really an adult anymore. But if you can help them feel like a man, like, wow, you're like a king, you're awesome, you're tough, you're strong, you're capable, you protect, you do all these things, these kind of cliche guy things, that goes a long way with young men. So help him feel like the man. Like as a protector, provider, things like that. That goes a long way even with young men. Guys want to be the hero of your story, not theirs. So communicating with a guy how he made your life better, or he saved you in some sort of way, that's the fantasy of men even, is to be the superhero. It's not about getting the accolades for themselves. It's about saving the day. Young men want to feel like they can save the day, especially because many of them feel very powerless in their teenage years. So help the guys Be the hero of your story. You saved me from this kind of thing. You saved me from this bully. You saved me from this bad grade. You saved me from my parents feeling bad, saying bad things to me, whatever it is. That kind of stuff goes a long way for young men. The best advice, though, is be yourself. And I know this is the look that I get from a lot of teenagers, like, oh man, be myself. No, myself is terrible. But it's not because you're just so amazing as yourself. That's not what it is. You are amazing, but you're also works in progress. It cuts through the nonsense, the BS. It just cuts through it. Okay, if you are pretending to be someone else, that is going to just delay the inevitable, which is them finding out who you really are. And you're going to be wasting a lot of time. So you show the best parts of yourself, but you show yourself. I'm not saying fart in their face on the first date. Okay, you don't want to do that. You want to be the best version of yourself, but you still want to be yourself. You're pretending to be someone that you're not. You can't keep that up for very long. If you're looking for a relationship, this is relationship advice. This isn't one-night stand advice. So I'm not going to give one-night stand advice, especially to teenagers. So relationship advice is to be yourself, the best parts of yourself, and then you can let them in inch by inch and show a little bit more vulnerability over time. Okay. Asking someone out is very scary to do. I know a lot of teenagers now just ask like via TikTok or through a friend to another friend and another friend, another friend. And the reason why we do this, why we ask people out through all these intermediaries, is because of the fear of rejection, especially for young men. When a girl rejects them, it really crushes them. But you know what? For young women too, because women are such held up as like the prize that all guys want, that if a girl gets rejected, it can be very devastating. So I understand why young people don't make the move, but girls, you can make the move. If you explain in a sweet way that you are interested in getting to know them better, spending time with them, and they say no, good. Guys, good. Thomas Edison famously said that he found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb before he invented the light bulb. Okay. If you ask someone out and they say no, they don't want to be with you, move on to the next one. That's not your person. And that can hurt. But you don't want to be friends with anyone that doesn't want to be friends with you. And you shouldn't want to be in a relationship with someone that doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. I got rejected a lot in dating. And I was just in my head, I was like, you know what? I would have been a good boyfriend to you. And then when I got a girlfriend, I'd uphold that. And I had to be a good boyfriend to her. So you look at it like, oh, okay, that's your loss. But regret is much more likely if you don't ask them out than if you take your shot. Look, if you take your shot, hey, you want to go out with me? And they say no. All right, now you know. But if you don't even take that shot, you don't show that kind of courage to ask, kind of go into the fray and take that shot, you'll never know. And I promise you, you'll have more regret over not taking the chance and asking out. And if they don't like you, all right, a lot of people aren't going to like you. That's the deal. Because you know what? You don't like a lot of people. There could be a lot of people that ask you out and you aren't interested. So don't be too judgmental when you ask someone out and they don't like you, because you don't like everybody either. Okay? That's the cool thing, is we all have our person or our type or whatever it is. And not everyone's your type. And you're not everyone's type. But don't be ashamed of what or who you like. Your peers are looking for something different. There's situations where, and I see this a lot in high school, and I've gone through this too, where I liked a girl that my friends were like, oh no, she's gross or whatever. And then you're like, oh, okay, I shouldn't ask her out. That's nonsense. The older you get, the more you're going to see that everyone is someone's type. And you, with all your weird stuff, and yeah, you're weird, you're someone's type. So don't get caught up in what everyone else says is attractive. Because if you find someone attractive, maybe it's just the way that she laughed, or maybe it's the way that he looked after soccer practice or something like that when he was sweaty, whatever it is. Everyone else thought it was gross or it was a non-thing, but you liked it. Lean into that. Okay. Lean into what it is that you like about people. Now, you go out with someone, and then you have a breakup. Breakups are tough. Breakups are tough. Do your friends like you? Yeah, your friends like you. Do they enjoy spending time with you? Yeah. What if they didn't? What if you're one of your best friends said, you know what? I don't like you anymore. I don't want to spend time with you anymore. It would hurt, of course. But good. Okay. Now you're not going to be in my life anymore. That helps you to move on because you don't want to be in a relationship with anyone that doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. That's just the reality of it. You can say like, yes, I do want to be friends with that person. Not if they don't value you. You don't want to be in a relationship, any kind of relationship, with someone who doesn't value you. That's important. If you really care about them, you care about their happiness, that includes your absence from their life. And this is tough, but you will understand this as you get older and you have more perspective. And, there's something to this where I went through tough breakups when I was younger, but every single one of them, when I was looking like Tobey Maguire here and stuff like that, every single one of them led me to my wife and our 3 kids. And if I wouldn't have gone through that breakup, my kids would be non-existent. So you don't know what's good or bad yet, guys. Every single breakup could be leading you to your person. And I think that's an important way to frame it. And that's something that's me as 40 years old can kind of guide you on. And there is someone for everyone. Flaws are attractive, endearing, and cute. The things that make your person real. People ask like what, how do you know if they're like the right person for you? And I say, if their flaws aren't seen as flaws, if you don't see their flaws as flaws, you see them as little nuances that you think are cute. Could be a birthmark, could be the way that they walk, it could be the fact that they burp, and you think it's cute, that's gold, guys. You find that, you found something special. So what would be a flaw in someone, in other people, is not a flaw in this person. That's something to really take a look at. That might be someone that you want to pursue a relationship with. That their flaws aren't gross. Their flaws aren't bad. They're endearing. That's a big one. I have friends that are across the spectrum that are not, on the cover of Cosmo or on a fitness magazine, all shapes and sizes, that have found true love. So you can find true love. Be the best version of yourself and you can find it. I believe that. I truly believe that. I wouldn't be sharing that if I didn't believe it. Be careful of the checklist. I want a girl that's this and this and this. I want a guy that's this, 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 and this. Because my wife was not most of the things on my checklist. Sometimes you just fall in love. And if you're too busy focused on the checklist, you might miss it. So be careful because you don't really know what your perfect match looks like. You might have something like, oh, we should have these things in common. But you know what? Marrying someone that's from a different culture or who has very different interests can expand your mind in tremendous ways. I went through that, marrying someone from a different culture, a different country, very different political views and stuff like that than my own. And it was a tremendous net positive. So be careful of the checklist. You don't really know what you want. You don't, especially when you're young. You have to be willing to adapt. If you want specific aesthetic requirements, you like tall girls, blonde girls, you like guys with 6-packs, whatever it is, you might have to give up other things or hold yourself to a high aesthetic standard as well. It's hard to expect that you want a boyfriend with a ripped 6-pack if you aren't in shape. It might, because typically people try to align with those kinds of aesthetic measures. Like typically someone who using these like kind of gross, like weighted systems, like number systems, like she's a 10 or she's an 8, he's a 7, whatever it is. Typically 7s end up with 7s, typically. Okay. And along those lines, if you have this really high standard that you're not willing to meet, you're going to have to give up other things. So maybe she's like a 9, but she isn't very smart. She isn't very funny. She isn't, doesn't have much of a personality. Then she's like a 9 aesthetics, but the rest of her all averaged out is like a 6. Same thing for guys. He might be really ripped, but he might be really like dumb as a rock. You got to decide what you want to do and what's more important. And that's your decision. You get to choose this. Understanding relationships are a living, evolving thing. The most important advice I can give is to find someone who is willing to do the work with you and maintaining a loving relationship. Nearly every couple I know that went through a divorce or a big breakup is because one of the people or both didn't want to evolve. They didn't want to adapt. They didn't want to work on it. So find someone that you will evolve and adapt with. If you want a long-term relationship, you're not going to be the same person that you are today. So you have to change with them. And the last thing I'll say is enjoy the process, guys. Dating is fun. It's fun. You get rejected, good. That's one less person you have to waste time and money on to get you to your person. So enjoy the process. Get to know people. It's fun getting to know people. It's fun asking questions. It's fun playing around and being silly. Be yourself. Have fun dating. Have fun with it. Because when you find that person, the dating life is over. So enjoy it. Be present in the lonely times in order to appreciate the relationships of your future. If you are lonely, if you're watching this, you found this on YouTube because you're just lonely and you want a girlfriend or a boyfriend or something like that, I would journal. Talk about all the things that you're going to do to appreciate your future girlfriend or boyfriend. Because you're not going to be lonely forever, guys. You're not going to be lonely forever. Okay? And what happens is you're lonely and you say, oh, I just really need a girlfriend. And then you get a girlfriend and then you don't treat her well. You forget how lonely you were. So please remember, take video on your phone, take your phone and take video of it and say like, I'm really lonely. I wish this, blah, 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 blah. And then watch it when you have a girlfriend. So you don't take her for granted or a boyfriend. Expect to work for a great relationship. Okay? Your spouse, your long-term boyfriend, girlfriend, they should challenge you. And that's difficult. So relationships are hard. You got to work at them. One of the things I tell, especially young men, is like, be nice to any girl that wants to spend time with you, because young men are so gross. People are gross in general, but young men are just so gross. They're smelly and they're figuring things out, and their hygiene often isn't great and all that kind of stuff. So if a girl wants to spend time with you, or oh my gosh, she wants to kiss you, like be nice to her. Be nice to people who want to spend time with you. Because when you're young, you're just a mess. You're figuring it out. If someone wants to spend time with you, you should be very kind to them. Communicate openly and honestly. The game of like playing the game is like, oh, you don't call them back in this amount of time or blah, blah, blah. I say this, then you say this back. All of that kind of stuff. It works, but it's largely just going to be a waste of time. Be yourself. Be yourself. You'll get there quicker. I promise you. It's going to be maybe rougher, because you're going to get rejected more short term, but you're going to get rejected long term when you reveal who you really are. So I think just getting it out of the way is a better approach. Communicate openly and honestly. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much. And if you like it, please comment below. I'm going to be uploading more videos like this to YouTube. Thank you guys very much.